Good evening and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical and science fiction gaming in and around the great city of Savannah. And we are finishing off what has been a very busy broadcast week here this week with a couple of guests. And of course, I think we started off releasing Monday Patrick Tadlock of the Moxley tournament. That was fantastic. And then we just released a video with Mark Sprung of Mongoose Publishing talking about Starfleet Battles Call to Arms. If you guys haven't seen those are both worth a look. And of course, it's Thursday, so it'll probably be Friday before we get this released, but it's Thursday, so it's the Mike and Randy show. Good evening to everybody. Before we get too late, let's go ahead and click that like button and subscribe and share. Like I like to say, share with your friends, share with your enemies. Just share. That's hit the like button. I love it. Randy has his channel that he runs, Bolt Action 1944, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, and he wants the same thing: likes, shares, and he covers some different topics on there. It's one of the things about watching both of us is together we do different stuff, and then individually we do different stuff. And between the two of us, well, we aim to keep you all pretty well entertained. So there you go. Randy, how are you this evening?
Pretty good, yeah. And I think after this weekend, I'm going to a tournament down in Ocala, BOP Blitzkrieg.
Right.
I will do a wrap up on that tournament on my channel afterwards. So I'll try to take some pictures this time.
that would be really good, yeah. And then we're going to review the Army list like we do periodically on our show next week. So
yeah.
Lots of stuff going on. So if you got, like I say, keep watching. Again, if y'all got anything you'd like us to cover, just make a comment in the section below, or go ahead and send an email to gatorgameswayx@gmail.com, and we'll take it under advisement. Probably do it. Heck, we get tired of trying to come up with all the ideas. Make use of the group mind. But today we've got a really interesting discussion point. Randy, of course, is known for squeezing and wringing the most out of his points that he can. He runs, oh gosh, he's got inexperienced officers. If he can throw a pistol on them, he'll do that because that saves points. Likes to use inexperienced crews. So in that vein, we have the case for the Armadillo. One of the original. I mean, you want to talk about just some very serious redneck engineering here. You didn't think Britain had rednecks. Well, I think we can make a case right here. Actually, most soldiers they're gonna do what they have to get things done. So tell us what got your attention about this, Randy, and what would make it work for one of your armies.
Yeah, so I've been using an Armadillo in my regular list just for some cheap flak because it's 8 shots of flak. So I've tried it a few times, and I just dug into it a little bit of research, and found out that this thing was hastily cobbled together after the Germany just ran through France in like a week, and Britain was terribly afraid. So they just started throwing the home guard together, and they took vehicles and improvised some anti-aircraft because they knew the bombers were coming. So this truck was basically just a regular truck. They threw a wood box on it, slapped some steel plates on it, and stuck a couple guys in there with light machine guns to shoot at aircraft.
See, and the guys in Mogadishu thought they had come up with something original.
Yeah, so they had a really they had a lack of armored vehicles at that point. The tanks they had were very weak, and they really had not much at all as far as armored vehicles. So I got to looking at this Armadillo, and I was like, it doesn't seem like much because it's only got 4 shots. But if you compare it to a medium machine gun team, they're both 50 points. The medium machine gun teams get 6 shots.
Right.
But this thing's armored. It's got 4 shots. It's mobile. It can move and shoot. It can split fire. So if I want to, if say I'm not moving, which you got a better chance of hitting, and I want to put a pin on two different units, well, I can just fire 2 shots here and 2 shots there, because these things also have a 360-degree fire.
So
Um,
a couple things. So you said it gets 8 shots. Why does it get 8?
well, if you're shooting flak, you're going to get the full 4 for each gun in flak.
So it's a twin LMG. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so there's an
Okay.
LMG. If you look at the picture on the left, you'll see one sticking out of the window. So they got this
Right.
little sliding window. The guy just sticks out and shoots, or he can lean up out of the box and shoot up in the air if he wants to shoot aircraft.
And because they're 2 guns, you can also split fire with it.
Right.
Roger
Um,
that. Okay.
yeah. Now historically there was 3. You see a window in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Warlord doesn't give you 3 LMGs. They only give you option for 2. And then of course the option for the heavy autocannon in the back, but that's another 45 points, and it's rear facing. So that's kind of a detriment, because the rear armor of this thing is only 5, and that's worse than a soft skin. So I don't know why I would want to point it that direction. I've tried to run it actually in version 2 that way, and it's very hard to maneuver, because
Yes.
obviously in reverse you don't have the maneuverability you do in forward. So to get it to shoot is really a challenge. Um, so I popped the thing off. I don't. It's sitting on the shelf somewhere. So I've just been using it with the 2 light machine guns.
Sounds like a good idea. Wow.
Yeah. So I got to thinking about that, and I was like, well, home guard. Of course the
Yeah.
Gurkhas are going away. I've got to look at
Yes.
options going into. Yeah. So I thought, well, what if I built a totally themed home guard list?
Heck yeah.
And so I sent Mike my ideas on that.
Oh, it,
And it was
you.
funny.
Oh
it's
my
a
God.
riot.
And we'll probably do a review on it. Me and Randy might even team up to build the thing. And quite honestly, I think we ought to take it somewhere and run it just for grins,
Yeah,
just to
maybe
watch everybody howl.
I'm thinking we could do what if Germany invaded England, and
Sure.
we'll have home guard on one side, and whatever you
German,
think the Germans would have brought in, maybe Fallschirmjägers. They might have dropped
it would
Fallschirmjägers
be
in.
early war Fallschirmjägers with submachine guns and rifles and light
Yeah.
machine guns. And then, yeah, so that would be one scenario. Another scenario would be just straight Landwehr, just regular Vermont, Blitzkrieg Vermont with rifles and LMGs and subbies. So, yeah, it'd be a really interesting what if scenario. And, I think the list I looked at had 26 dice. So you're looking at quality over quantity. So, folks,
Yeah.
consider yourselves teased.
Yeah.
I think Randy and I were looking over his collection. I think he can put together the home guard. I might have to do a little bit of tweaking to get enough Germans to put together an early war force. But Randy, I've got some resin infantry that are done in more the classic style with
Hmm.
rifles, subbies, and machine guns, and they're all in field gray. So I could probably crank those out pretty fast. So that may be
Yeah.
something we do for a battle report. That'd be a lot of fun.
I think I had 40 home guard in there.
I saw. I didn't. We put a pause to it, so I didn't check them all.
Yeah.
That's not about right. You had.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So one of the cool things about the home guard, of course, they're green, but they can take either a light machine gun or a BAR.
Yeah.
And now I didn't, in version 2 they didn't have this, but now they have the option of giving an unarmed man the BAR and an unarmed man as a loader or the light machine gun. So it's still the same cost. So for 15 points, you can pick one of your unarmed guys to be not only the loader, but to carry the light machine gun. So you're saving.
LMG's 25, isn't it?
No, they're 15 points.
Okay, I thought they were 25. You keep
No.
talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So if you give it to a rifleman, you're paying extra for the rifleman to swap it out. But if you give it to an unarmed guy, you're only paying, I think, 5 points for the unarmed dude. So you're saving
What?
2 points.
Right. God,
Well,
man,
you're saving 4 points total because you're saving 2 for the loader and 2 for the LMG guy. So you're
I'm,
saving
I'm,
money right there.
I'm just sitting here laughing and saying this is the original definition of nickel and diming someone to death, namely your
Yeah.
opponent.
Now, that being said, okay, this is a problem with Easy Army because the first time I did this, I rolled it up with Easy Army. And Easy Army allows you to not only give an armed man a light machine gun, but it also allows you to give an unarmed man a light machine gun. So you can actually put 2 light machine guns in a home guard unit in Easy Army. But if you use the Warlord app, you can take one or the other. So I'm
Yeah.
sure
So
that's, yes. So, Mike, you got to be careful if you get a list with a home guard. You're going to have to vet it carefully if it's Easy
I
Army.
was just I was just thinking that one of the things we've watched, especially in version 3, is Warlord rolling out their own thing. And some
Yeah,
of us have been like, "Oh, we've had Easy Army for years," but if Easy Army is not, if they've got some glitches like that, and of course I think they always have, and we all kind of just lived with it. Um, but this is one of those things, and there's been a couple things like that where, um, the Warlord app was it was the definitive. Now, I'm not a huge fan of third party apps. And the Warlord app now, is it a phone or is it a laptop or computer based?
oh, you can get it for either or. You just have to download the app.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
and by the way, if you want to equip the Home Guard guy with a BAR, it's only
yeah,
6 points. Only 6 points.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
When I first did that with Easy Army, I was like, ooh, I'll just bring 2 BARs because that's only 12 points and that's 4 shots.
Right.
And yeah, but it wouldn't work. Once I double checked it against the Warlord app, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well,
Only one guy can have a BAR.
yeah,
So if you're using, just a caveat, folks, if you're building British forces using Easy Army or any forces, just kind of do a sanity check of your list against the rule book. And with us
yeah,
preparing for the June tournament, uh, I probably need to kind of audit those maybe a little bit more closely. It sounds like there's still some significant disconnects between Easy Army, the rule book, and the app. So
yeah,
glad you checked that, Randy. And I don't compliment this enough, but you really are quite the rules guru on this, and it's pretty helpful. Of course, you have an advantage that you get to play more as far as bolt action. I often find myself having to spread my time around because just about any game I sell in my store, I like to play just so I can talk it up,
yeah.
which keeps me pretty busy. Got all kinds of rules rattling around up here. Wow. So your plan. So it's just kind of cool. So the write up here is actually some research I did based on the Bedford truck. So the
Yep.
Bedford model out there if you wanted to kit bash this thing. But Warlord makes their own. You can see it down in the corner here. This is the Mark III. The Mark II was even more jury rigged. Uh, so you could make either one using a Warlord model, which is kind of cool. Or you can kit bash it, or I'm sure you can find somebody to resin print it, whatever your poison is. Your local game store would be more than happy to order as many of these as you want. Might even give you a break if you bought enough.
Yeah,
But
I think I got mine from you.
yeah, so you got it for 10%
Yeah.
off, which is pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
so,
It's a metal. I think it's metal and resin. It's a really
yeah,
nice model.
good. It's really interesting. We'd had metal and resin for years for a lot of this stuff. Um, and then Warlord, of course, has done a lot of plastic kits. And I think you've had mixed results with metal and resin. There was one of the metal resin
Yeah,
kits that was just an absolute horror for you.
yeah,
Um, and in theory, a resin kit, metal resin kit, should be easier to go together than a plastic. I swear, when they do the plastic kits, they think you want to rebuild the vehicle spring by spring. It's like, guys, I just want to play with my toys. So you got a Lewis gun or a Bren gun on a pencil mount. The Lewis gun too was World War I vintage.
yeah,
So kind of
yeah.
interesting.
So the what a little bit about the Lewis gun. The early runs they used Lewis guns, and the reason they used the Lewis guns is because when the British troops got surrounded at Dunkirk, they lost like 12,000 Bren guns.
Lordy.
And so they had none. They were out. They had to get more made.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They lost a lot of stuff
Yes.
at Dunkirk. They were
Yeah.
lucky just to get the guys out. So
Right. Yeah, but man, a light machine gun's a light machine gun.
yeah,
But then again, they were trying to pack these guys into anything that would float.
yeah.
Have you seen the movie Dunkirk? It's pretty good.
I have not. I should watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I would highly recommend it. It's a good watch. Really good treatment. And I think the only movie I've ever seen done about Dunkirk, because it's kind of one where the Allies get their butts kicked. So we didn't do much of those. But
No.
yeah, but it's a good watch. Throw it on your watch list. It's worth looking at. It kind of adds to your repertoire and gives it a feel. Like I say, a lot of the Hollywood movies, especially post-war, nobody wanted to see the Allies lose.
Yeah.
Now we're 80 years out, and it's like, okay, we can take a look at that. Actually, May 9th was VE Day. Is that right? We just had that.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we got VJ Day coming up, I think, in August, and I'll probably do something special sale-wise for that. And tomorrow's an important day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is D-Day.
Yeah.
So June 6th. So I'll probably put some stuff on the show. We should have, Randy.
So,
We should have done a D-Day show. You know that.
well, speaking of D-Day, when are we going to do our D-Day event?
I think that got shelved.
I thought we had it on the calendar for July because of the tournament and stuff in June.
Well, we'll check that. So, see, folks, this is how our team operates. See, we'll have to check it out at our next meeting. So, if you're in the Savannah area, by the way, and you like to play historical games, we have a club's Pulaski's Guard, and we get together three times a month, either on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or sometimes if we're real lucky, all three. And we play historical games. And we've been known to throw a little bit of BattleTech in there, a little bit of Stargrave, but by and large, it's historical games of different flavors. So not sure, Randy. We're gonna have to look at that at our next meeting. I know it got moved because of the tournament, and then I've got Pelennor Fields going on the 21st. So see, folks, we do play, and that's why one of the blessings we have is we get to play and get to have fun. Armed trucks they were everywhere. The Russians apparently had a reputation for using a butt ton of armed trucks, but that was armed. They weren't armored, but they'd throw them right into combat. You got a gun? Go fight. Okay.
Yeah, that's like the truck with the 4 machine guns on it, the gas truck.
Right. But then you roll forward 20 years, and the U.S. is doing the same thing in Vietnam. We've got the Deuce and a Half with M60s, which the M60 was basically just a rework of the MG42, and they provided local security for convoys. So armed fighting trucks they're definitely, we were joking about how jury-rigged this is, but the reality is just about as soon as motor vehicles came out, guys started trying to figure out how to strap guns on them. I mean, I don't know when the first armored car went into operation, but armored cars were big during World War I.
I mean, if you look at all the towelheads over in the Middle East, they've got any kind of vehicle that will roll with a dang machine gun on it.
Okay, so now we just got demonetized. Please, nobody reports for that. Mandy, you will have to report to HR for reprogramming. Oh my gosh! But that was the joke I made early on. Is Mogadishu thought they came up with this originally, but yeah, no, you have what they called them when we were operating in. I guess that was Ethiopia, right? Mogadishu, Somalia. They had to pay for their own local security, and there was some loophole they couldn't pay for mercenaries, so they called them. And this was our guys with the UN, whoever was paying the bills, but they called the gun trucks technical support. And so, if you ever are reading reports and they talk about the technicals, that was the technicals. But there's a story. I don't know if you were aware of this back in the '80s, late '80s, I think it was. Chad and Libya went to war, and of course
Hmm.
Libya had the latest, greatest, not the latest, but they had like Russian T-55s.
Wow.
Chad, meanwhile, had these Toyota pickup trucks with heavy machine guns and tow launchers,
Oh
and
gosh.
they tore those Russian tanks up.
Yeah. Well, and Toyota pickups are like the most reliable thing you could possibly use. So
Yeah,
naturally, they'd use that to slap weaponry on.
sure. I think the Toyota pickup is tested regularly. There's a big run, and they do from like one end of Baja. They start off in Baja, Mexico, and then they end up somewhere in California or vice versa. But it's a long, grueling cross desert run, and Toyota has come in among the top every year, and that's where
Wow.
they always test their stuff. And again, the use of trucks, the LRDG used
Yeah.
they were all trucks and jeeps
Yep.
and caused no end of mayhem. So, wow, this is really fun. Yeah. So this is one of the things I think, Randy, that makes the game fun is the quirky stuff. I know there's Cosmo
Well,
Extractor you can get for the Russians. Those are fun. Or
speaking of the
Sunday.
quirky stuff, did you see the latest intel drop from Warlord?
I have not. I have not.
Oh,
I've been catch up on some other
let's see.
stuff.
Yeah, we probably. Oh, why is that not charging? Oh well, I'll take it off. So let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me just kind of go over it. Oh, it doesn't like that. Warlord community says weird and wonderful is the theme of it. So the first thing they
Oh,
got was this is not new. It's the Blackguard Bombard.
right. That's from the Great War.
Yeah. So this was another thing that the Home Guard were using for anti-tank.
Right.
This was their this had a 2-inch HE shell was their anti-tank solution. So
I love it.
um,
I love it. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean at the time, tanks were 7, max 8 armor.
Oh
So I
well.
mean, I guess that's not too bad against them.
Well, not only
But
that, this thing's hitting your top armor. At least it
no,
should.
it's
Now,
it's not indirect. I thought it
oh,
would be, but it's direct fire.
right.
Um, which is it's a shame you can't do both, but it doesn't have a range. It has a max range, but no minimum range, so it doesn't have indirect.
Ooh, okay.
Um, it's 40
40.
points though, which is a little pricey. But it has a 2-inch template, so if you wanted to target, a squad or a soft vehicle, might not be too bad.
I might have to get one of those just for grins and giggles because I guess you'd throw it in with your heavy weapons platoon. That would be fun. It's a 2-inch template. Nothing to
Yeah,
sneeze at.
no,
So yeah, it's a beefy light mortar. So that's kind of
yeah.
fun. Wow.
And then they got the Tetrarch.
Petrarch. That that
Yeah,
model, that's a metal resin model. You can tell, and it's not the
yeah,
prettiest thing.
yeah. It's and it doesn't really have a lot of punch to it. I think maybe the autocannon version might be the best one out of that. But neither one of those are new, so I don't know why they're using this in talking about the armies of Great Britain.
Was the Tetrarch in the other in the is I'd have to flip over to the rule book.
It is,
Is
it is.
Tetrarch in
Both
Okay.
both of them in the core book.
Really?
The Gurk,
Wow.
yeah, including the Gurkhas are in the core book.
Oh, squeeze board.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, it's got the little John adapter. I think John Connor actually played it against one of those against me, and I want to say it broke on him. If you roll a 1, it breaks. Now you no longer have a gun on your. You can only use coax, I think, at that point.
Yeah, it's got a coax, and I mean this one does not have an option for the autocannon. It's a light iron tank gun. You can
Yeah.
replace the light anti-tank gun for a light howitzer. Now, that may be a change from the old version. But you can replace it for a light howitzer. So that's kind of interesting. And as we all know, howitzers are great for digging infantry out of buildings.
Yeah, because you can indirect fire them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got the archer, which,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's an odd bird. So it's a super heavy anti-tank gun.
17-pounder, just like the
Yep.
Firefly. Yeah.
It's rear facing though. So they took a 9 armor tank and they stuck it on backwards.
Yeah.
So the theory behind that was they could lie in ambush with the gun facing that way and then take a shot, and then they could drive forward away faster. But all right, so it's 200 points. And in the rear, it is a 7. 9 in the front, 8 in the side, 7 in the rear, right? So for 160 points, I can take a Achilles, which is an 8 armor tank. So it's 8 in the front. It's cheaper, and it's 8 armor in the front instead of a 7 in, rear facing. Now, and I think the points are going to come down too. How many points is the archer?
At regular, it's 198. And so
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, I think, a 40-point drop across the board for
Yeah.
17-pounder weapons because of the light HE rule, which is really going to make the British heavy anti-tank guns a force to be reckoned with, which they were in real life. Yeah.
So honestly, the artillery piece, the 17-pounder, is 140 points regular. That means it's probably going to drop to 100 points. Now that actually starts to become a gun you might consider taking.
You bet. Yeah. But again, it takes that gun slot, and usually you like a gun slot to have something indirect. But
yeah,
hey,
all you got to do is park that thing in some, behind a stone wall and just let it eat.
until Randy shows up with his gazillion light mortars.
Oh yeah, light mortars are going to be ping, 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 ping.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things changes in my list for this weekend is instead of taking 2 artillery observers, I took 1.
Okay.
And in this place, I brought 2 medium mortars with spotters,
Ooh.
plus my 2 light mortars. So
Wow.
I've got 4 mortars in my list, plus the 1 artillery observer.
Sure.
So I'm going to be doing a lot of indirect fire.
Yeah. And, they say historically, if you look at the numbers, artillery caused most of the casualties during the war.
Yeah.
I've seen that in more than one place. I find that hard to imagine in some ways, but in others, when you look at the pictures of everybody had artillery parks where they darn near parked the guns hub to hub and just lit people up. You didn't have the bombardments that were quite as big as the Great War, except I think maybe around Kursk. But boy, they could lay down some HE. And so, wow, that's just crazy talk. Yeah, talking about light mortars, got to get the plug in here. We played some squad leader this last weekend, and let me tell you, the American 60-millimeter mortar in squad leader.
Yeah, nasty.
If your activation dice is a 3 or less, you can fire again.
Oh dang!
Oh yeah.
You didn't like that one? Here's another.
And in squad leader, you get like they're hitting in the trees, and so the cover modifier is reversed. You thought artillery and mortars and bolt action were bad. So yeah, go ahead, Jerry. Hide in the woods.
Make my day.
Right. So yeah, it was really kind of interesting because I think right before Randy, you started using a lot of light mortars, and before I used the one with my Africa Corps from Gentleman's War, I had cause to use a light mortar in squad leader, and I was like, okay, then I begin to understand why these things were darn useful because they're not horribly explosive. They're not, you're not going to wipe a whole squad out with one.
Yeah.
but you can make their lives miserable.
Miserable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so light mortars, man, and I don't have hardly any. I need to get more. Now the Americans, they can feel the light mortar, but I think the modeling for that is like a medium mortar team with 2 guys. Is that how they model that? I ought to know
I
that
don't
from our
know.
distributor.
I know they're 3-man.
Their light mortar teams are?
Yeah,
That's weird.
and it's
Okay.
so it's oh excuse me, it's 25 points instead of 21. Which
Okay.
if I can take a third guy for 4 more points, heck yeah, I'm gonna do that every day.
Yeah, because that gives your there it is. U.S. Airborne Bazooka, and I think you, if you didn't pick one of these up, you were thinking about it. I've got it in stock. The U.S.
Yeah,
Airborne Light Mortar and Bazooka team, and it is okay. No, the Light Mortar is a 2-man team. They have it available for the
yeah.
Airborne.
That's
Okay,
because you've got the you don't have the armies of unit. See, back in the core book, you could
right.
drop 5 points and you could make it a 2-man. Which now I think you have to be airborne in order for it to be a 2-man.
Well, I'm looking at the modeling, and all the models that are 2-man are airborne.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's
the
correct.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they have one for the U.S. Army. They have one for the yeah. They don't have one for the U.S. Army. Oh wait, it's maybe in the U.S. Army weapons team pack,
Could be.
which has a flamethrower. Yeah, it's got a flamethrower, a light mortar, and a sniper team. Okay, so
I
that's where
may
you would.
need that one. That's
And
probably
it's
the one I need to get from you.
yeah, it's not horribly expensive. You get a sniper team, you get a flamethrower team, you get a bazooka, you get a mortar team for retail 25.50. I'm usually selling that one for about 15% off of that. So you're not gonna make me do math on live TV, are you?
No, no, no.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Never
Yeah,
mind.
and I actually probably need some flamethrowers in my Americans.
Okay.
I think all my flamethrowers are British. So when uh, I think I've got 2 British flamethrower teams.
Yeah.
But if I end up going barbecue, I may need to bump it up. But
Hey, and that U.S. weapons team, U.S. Army weapons team is a better deal than the USMC team is still looks like it's a metal kit still, and
yeah,
it's the mortar for 1850.
hmm.
Whereas the American weapons team, yeah, you get the mortar, you get you get the sniper team, you get the flamethrower team, all for 25.50. So for retail to retail for another $7, uh, for another $7, uh, you get 4 more guys, which is not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Uh, so okay, well there you go. All right, so we teased everybody with the case for the armadillo, and quite honestly, I think you made a pretty good case for one. And again, this is bolt action, so
Yeah.
just
I,
because it didn't show up in the active army, if it's in the book, you can use it, and
you
that's
can
pretty
use it.
cool. Yeah.
And I'm thinking about bringing a comet and maybe 4 of these in an
Oh
armored
my
platoon.
gosh!
So they're just out there just spitting fire in all different directions.
You try and move your Panzer Shrek team up to take out the comet. One of these guys is going to light your butt up.
Yeah.
Wow! And you want to talk about interlock 4 trucks with multiple arcs? They can set up some hellacious
So
interlocking fire.
absolutely. And you know why? Because they can shoot across their bow
Right.
because it's an armored vehicle. So they can't damage it. So they're allowed to shoot within an inch of it or over it or whatever.
Man, know your rules, people. Know your rules when you're building your stuff. No, you're right. It's armored,
Yeah.
and so you can fire within an inch, and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, there's another unit I've been looking at is the mortar carrier. So you know, I've been getting into these indirect fire units, and I was like, oh,
Yes, you
medium
are.
mortar on a Bren carrier is
Oh yeah.
75 points. Now, that's more than so a regular mortar with a spotter is 55, right?
Okay.
Medium mortar. All right.
Yep.
So for 20 more points, I can get it armored. Doesn't have a spotter, but I don't need one because I can just move it around and get a line of sight. I don't
How
need
do
it
you
spotted.
how do you like me now?
You can't kill it unless you hit it with an anti-tank weapon.
Well, now
So,
it's open top. So what happens if you drop a mortar on that thing?
well,
It's
no, that would be, yeah,
drop bomb.
anything's bad when you hit it with a mortar, but
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, good. So hope we've given folks some good ideas. I'm really thinking now that I want to, because I'm working on an Africa Corps and Eighth Army list,
Yeah.
and I swear I might have to build a couple of these two things for the
This
Eighth.
this looks like it belongs in the desert. You could throw a tan shot on it and
It does. It is absolutely. If it wasn't there, it should have been. Which again, LRDG did that. They took unarmored trucks. I mean, they took the Chevy
the Chevy 30
3-ton.
3-ton, and they just slapped armor plates on it
Yeah,
and sent it out there.
yeah, and had machine guns everywhere. So wow, cool. All right, wow, this was definitely a different type of show. I liked it. Talking about units, I think we'll definitely do some more of these. This is fun, folks. If you got other units you want to talk about or have a discussion about, or want me and Randy to have a discussion about, put it in the comments below, or
Yeah.
send us an email. As always, best way to support the channel is buy some merch. Help me feed my babies. It's thirsty business doing this. We got Ko-Fi and Patreon, $5 a month. Helps keep the lights on. And be sure you check out Randy's channel, Bolt Action 1944. He does some really good work over there as well. Randy, anything else for the folks before we wrap?
Let's see. I still plan on doing a light order tutorial. Maybe I can
Excellent.
get that. Maybe I can get that in the can this weekend. I have seen, like I think it was at the Battle of Britain we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's like almost every list I'm seeing now has 2 light mortars in it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's become a craze.
Yeah. Well,
So
I know once they introduced light mortars in Squad Leader, you started to see them a lot. You would see them in, I mean,
oh, so
so
that yeah, there was a
they,
discussion about the Japanese squads.
right,
They can
with light mortar.
they can take 3 in a
Yep,
squad,
in a
and
squad.
they can all fire at different units,
Yes,
and they can move and fire, and then there's guys to shield them from being shot at. So that's just nasty. I
that's
mean, it
awesome.
really is.
That's great. It makes, because the Japanese army is generally a horde army.
Yeah.
So that's going to change the taste of your beer and pretzels on that one. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
We won't let Wayne Boudreaux look at this video because he might get he
Yeah,
runs
he'll
Jap.
come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. All right. Well, Randy, this has been a blast. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right, folks. You know the drill. Click like, click share, click subscribe. Buy us a coffee. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night, everybody.